What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope y'all having a good day. Okay, so before we jump into the video, you can tell the format for this one's a little bit different. Greenlit Gang TV is something that I had thought about and considered making for a little over 2 years before I actually pulled the trigger, went out, bought a Mac, and decided to start making these videos about the content that I found fascinating and I found interesting and something that I thought I myself could do to bring to you guys. And again, I'm not trying to ramble here, but I do want to get this off my chest and do want to talk about it, and I do want some feedback in the comments below. That being said, almost 2 years now, end of September, beginning of October will be 2 years of Greenlit Gang TV, and I truly do love making videos, but I feel like I need to trim the fat on some of the stuff. I feel like the intro is too long. I feel like some of the videos are kind of getting blah and a little bit too fillerish. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've just been kind of in my feelings about it because the last few weeks I think I got booted out of it. Not booted, but I think I fell out of the algorithm. And I don't know. Maybe I'm going through a little something right now where I'm thinking the videos I'm making aren't as good as they should be. So I think I just need to trim the fat and cut right to the source and just jump right into these videos the way it's meant to be. But again, let me know what you think in the comments below. I just don't think maybe we need all the extra stuff. Don't need the big long intro. Don't need some of the news stories to go along with it. Just need to put myself up to my phone microphone and start talking. And I like the old school way of posting. I like that I don't have a bunch of fancy edits or anything like that. I like that it's me, my computer, and my little iPhone, and I can crank out good videos for you guys. But again, I would like some feedback. So today, we're going to be talking about a guy by the name of Sammy Ramirez, or Samuel Wino Ramirez. Is Ex Nuestra Familia gang member from San Jose. The guy had a very violent reputation in the 90s and early 2000s. One of the stories that we'll be talking about, but that kind of caught my eye when I was reading through some of this information, was he was known for, he'd be in shackles, right? He'd be cuffed up in court. But if you'd go to court with fellow Nortenos, members within the organization, and if he knew they were cooperating, even if they didn't know that he knew, he had a way to slip his cuffs or cuff keys, and he would just take off on him right then and there in court. Had a lot of stories like that. But he ends up getting wrapped up in an indictment in around 2008, 2009. And after spending almost 2 years basically in a holding cell awaiting his, day in court, quote unquote, he ends up basically deciding to cooperate against his own gang. He says, not what it was cracked up to be, and I'm going to go ahead and cooperate. So I typed in Sammy Ramirez. He's from San Jose. I found actually a lot of information on him on an appeal that was filed on behalf of another Nuestra Familia gang member, Felipe Yanez. He basically was wrapped up in a conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine. Talked about how he's convicted after 2 jury trials. And then he files this appeal, right? Well, then it talks about, the background of the case, the facts of the case. And on April 23rd, 2009, an indictment was filed charging Yanez and 28 other co-defendants with various offenses stemming from an alleged conspiracy to sell methamphetamine for the benefit of the Nuestra Familia gang. Yanez was charged with active participation in a criminal street gang and conspiracy to sell methamphetamine. Committed the crime at the behalf and the benefit and association of the criminal street gang, which is the Nuestra Familia. And it talks about the narcotics and the serious offense and all this and the gang enhancements that we've talked about a lot on this channel. And this took place within Santa Clara County, right? So they talk about Campbell Police Department. Sergeant Dan Livingston testifies, an expert of drug sales and gangs and all this. And I looked up Campbell Police, which then, county, what area are we dealing with? And this is basically within the Santa Clara County. Now, what you'll find with a lot of these indictments and stuff that we read about, even in some of these news videos that I put up, right? You can Google right now, Nuestra Familia arrests, okay? And you're going to come across these Google stories from different years, different decades on these operations, right? Operation Black Widow, Red Reaper, I think one was Snake Eyes or something, about 80 arrests, 90 arrests of Nuestra Familia, and it'll be half the guys on the street, half the guys are behind bars, and the guys behind bars are the ones calling the shots. Kind of the same old, headline grabber for a particular police department or particular government agency, whatever it is. But what they don't tell you so much in the news, and you have to go through court paperwork, is a lot of those people that get wrapped up in these indictments they end up snitching. They end up turning state's evidence, government's evidence, whatever the case may be, to shave off however much time they may possibly be looking at. But do not get it twisted, all right? Sammy Ramirez was an absolute, the dude put it down. The dude put in work for Nuestra Familia, was known as somebody behind bars that would do what needed to get done, put hits out on Sureños, even put a green light on West Side Mob. That's a Norteno set, basically over in San Jose, and their territory is near Luther Avenue, all right? And again, they kind of refer to themselves as West Side territories near Luther Avenue. And there's other subsets of Norteños in that kind of geographic area. You got the Roosevelt Park Locos, they say North Side, or the El Hoyo Palmas, EHP, and other gangs on the east side of San Jose where they say East Side. All right, kind of goes without saying there. But anyway, let's continue reading from this appeal for this Felipe Yanez guy. And there's direct testimony from our guy Sammy Ramirez. Okay, and goes into some really good information on him, and kind of gives a good breakdown of what, just his involvement in everything across the board. Sammy Ramirez was indicted along with Yanez and had been in custody since his arrest in February 2008. He was designated as an expert in prison gangs and the Nuestra Familia gang. After 20 months of incarceration, remember he gets picked up in this indictment, Ramirez decided to cooperate with the prosecution. Ramirez testified that he realized that staying loyal to the gang, quote, wasn't the life for him. When Ramirez decided to cooperate, he knew that he was placing himself in danger. Before he entered into an agreement with prosecutors, he knew that he faced a maximum sentence of 175 to life, consecutive to 36 years, and a minimum of 150 to life, consecutive to 30 years. As part of his plea agreement, the district attorney's office agreed to dismiss a gang enhancement that was alleged in connection with the charge count of extortion, and Ramirez was required to plead guilty to the remaining charges and counts. Ramirez grew up in San Jose and started selling narcotics when he was around 16 years old. When Ramirez was 19, he shot and killed a man who had assaulted his brother. And I'm sorry, I think I might have misspoke if I had mentioned this already before. I don't think I did, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. At one point, I thought that I read that he had just shot, but I didn't know he killed a man. But no, he did. He shot and killed a man who had assaulted his brother. In connection with that case, Ramirez was convicted of voluntary manslaughter and assault with a deadly weapon. Ramirez was sent to jail, where he was approached by individuals who were affiliated with the Norteno movement. Over time, Ramirez earned a reputation within the gang. Gang members would show him lists of names and individuals, and pay attention to this, guys, who were dropouts or informants. And when Ramirez went to court, he would slip off his waist chains and beat any dropouts or informants that he saw. Later, Ramirez went to San Quentin State Prison. While in prison, Ramirez became more involved with the Nuestra Familia organization. He, quote, called the hit on the removal of a Sureno gang member. He gave another prisoner a weapon, and the prisoner stabbed a rival gang member. While Ramirez was waiting for his disciplinary hearing following this incident, he was involved in a yard fight. In total, Ramirez participated in multiple yard fights, numbering 12 or 13 while in prison. Ramirez was labeled as the Norteno and was educated by other gang members on various subjects. After San Quentin, he got transferred to the SHU at Pelican Bay. At Pelican Bay, Ramirez was ordered to kill 2 high-ranking gang dropouts after he left secured housing unit. Ramirez, however, was unable to complete this task because the 2 dropouts were no longer, quote, on the main line. Ramirez learned, quote, mini writing and wrote in kites that were transmitted to high-ranking members of the Nuestra Familia. In 1995, he was sponsored by 2 other individuals to become a Nuestra Raza member. In 1997, he became a Nuestra Familia member. According to Ramirez, Nuestra Familia is selective about who can join the organization. Ramirez estimated that in 1997, there were about 300 to 500 Nuestra Familia members. Leaving the gang was tantamount to an automatic death sentence. Brown Bob, who we will be making a video on, a former high-ranking member of Nuestra Familia, was killed after he dropped out of the gang and tried to encourage young people not to join. Ramirez met Lorenzo Guzman when they were both housed in Pelican Bay State Prison. Guzman was released from prison in 2005, and upon his release started his own street regiment. Ramirez, who was also paroled in 2005, and started to work with the Nuestra Familia Street Regiment. Guzman was arrested again in 2007, and after Guzman's arrest, Ramirez spoke with other Nuestra Familia members, including Clayton Clark, about how it was difficult to obtain illegal drugs. Guzman had been obtaining drugs for the gang from 2 men, Jack Ochoa and Jesse Venegas. Ramirez met with Jack Ochoa, but Ochoa refused to supply him with drugs. 2 or 3 weeks after Guzman's arrest, this is our guy who this appeal is about, Felipe Yanez, reached out to Sammy Ramirez about supplying methamphetamine. Ramirez believed that Yanez was a, quote, very close associate of the Nuestra Familia gang. Guzman had previously told Ramirez that Yanez knew how to cook, clean, and cut methamphetamine. Ramirez met with Yanez in person. During the meeting, Yanez relayed messages to Ramirez from incarcerated Nuestra Familia members. Ramirez asked Yanez if he could supply the gang with drugs. Yanez responded that he had just been released from custody and he would get back to Ramirez about supplying drugs. Yanez asked Ramirez if any money had been seized from Guzman's house after the arrest. Yanez told Ramirez that he had fronted Guzman 4 pounds of meth worth $40,000 through David Bermudez. Thus, any money found in Guzman's house was his. Ramirez would tell Yanez that money had not been seized from Guzman's house. The next time Ramirez met with Felipe Yanez, Yanez told him that he was being, quote, shut down by the 5 major plugs and he could not supply any methamphetamine. Yanez then asked Ramirez if he could collect the drug debt from the methamphetamine that had been fronted to Guzman. Ramirez gave Yanez permission to collect the drug debt. Ramirez also told Yanez that he knew that Clark had already collected $5,000 of the same debt. Subsequently, Yanez asked Ramirez for, quote, dope to sell. Ramirez started Yanez with the half pound, but Yanez got rid of the drugs so fast that he couldn't keep up with them. Ramirez obtained the dope from another Nuestra Familia member, Charlie Campa. Yanez told Ramirez that he was not satisfied with the quality of the drugs received from Campa and described it as, quote, too cut. Under an arrangement with Campa gave Ramirez $200 for every pound that Yanez sold. Campa told Ramirez that he lost track of how much money he owed Ramirez because Yanez was selling so much. Ramirez testified about an incident where someone named G was going to be disciplined by the gang. Yanez put in a good word for G. Later, G was verbally reprimanded during a meeting that took place inside Yanez's car. After he decided to cooperate with law enforcement, Sammy Ramirez was asked to listen to jail and phone calls involving Yanez. Ramirez listened to the calls between someone named Ears and Yanez. Ramirez had met Ears several times, and Ears was someone that would pick up or drop off money for Ramirez. Yanez had previously tried to contact Ramirez in 2006, but at that time, Ramirez did not want anything to do with Yanez because he believed Yanez was being investigated by the police, so this is before he cooperates. Ramirez admitted that he did not previously disclose his Yanez prior attempt to contact him. He also admitted that he previously told the police that Yanez was nothing but a dealer and was not a Nuestra Familia member, which came back not to be true. Yanez was, in fact, a Nuestra Familia member. Ramirez acknowledged he had a criminal history. He previously put a green light on the West Side mob gang for personal reasons. He also had placed a hit on Jack Ochoa. Just remember, you scroll up here, who was Jack Ochoa? He was someone that was supplying drugs to these guys out on the streets. So yeah, basically what this is, so right here, Guzman had been obtaining drugs for the gang from 2 men. That was at Jack Ochoa and Jesse Venegas. And for whatever reason, our guy Samuel Wino Ramirez decides to put a full-out green light hit on him. The West Side Mob hit was also a big deal. He's very well known for that. I think it's interesting about when he's 19, he kills that guy for assaulting his brother. I thought that gives an idea of the kind of the guy he was, which isn't a bad thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think things went left for him once he decided to agree and testify. But you see this all the time. You see this all the time in gang life. You hit a point, I think, where some of these guys get tired. I think some of these guys don't want to do the time, flat out. I think they're tired of being in and out of prison. They get picked up again. You've been out on the street for maybe 18 months. You're just starting to come around your family and friends again. Maybe got your kids back in your life a little bit, even if you're running in the streets. And boom, you get picked up in a 20-count indictment with 30 other co-defendants. Half of them are snitching anyway. And you go, man, I'm tired of being tired. What do I know? But I'm just giving you an idea. There's something that got to make these guys snitch. There's something that's got to make these guys go, it ain't worth it anymore. Knowing damn well when they cooperate, they're going to be marked for death. So I don't think I'm that far off. But yeah. Tell me what you guys think of the new format. I don't really give a fuck anymore, man. We're going to be keeping it like this from here on out. We're trimming all the fat. We're trimming all the bullshit. Just bringing you guys facts. Just bringing you guys these videos. Bringing you guys content. Let these stories tell themselves. We don't got to do the extra bullshit. Anyway, y'all know what it is. Till next time. Peace.